All right, let's talk about Apple's M5 GPU. And look, this is way more than just your average yearly spec bump. This thing represents a pretty fundamental shift in how our devices are going to handle graphics, and maybe even more importantly, artificial intelligence. It all kicks off with one simple but really powerful idea.
Yeah, what if it could actually think? That's really the core question behind the M5 GPU. We're talking about moving beyond chips that just, draw pixels on a screen to chips that can actually understand and generate content right alongside them.
So the most important thing to get your head around is this. You've got to stop thinking of this as just a GPU. It's not. Apple's designed it as a hybrid engine. It was built from the ground up to juggle three massive jobs all at once, rendering absolutely beautiful visuals, running these complex AI models right on the device, and powering the whole immersive world of spatial computing.
Just to give you a little context, the M5 was announced back in late 2025. It's built on this ridiculously advanced third-generation 3-nanometer process, which is a huge part of its power and efficiency. And you're going to find this new engine inside the latest MacBook Pro, the iPad Pro, and of course, the Apple Vision Pro, which is where its capabilities are really put to the test.
Okay, so how on earth did Apple pull this off? Let's peel back the layers and dive into the architecture. This is where we find the real secret sauce, the innovations that make the M5 so completely different from what came before.
Now, don't get me wrong, the graphics performance is super impressive, and we'll get to that, I promise. But the real story here, the big game changer, is something else entirely. It's a brand new piece of hardware that's been integrated directly into the graphics pipeline.
And here it is, the Neural Accelerator, or NA for short. The easiest way to think of it is like a super specialized calculator. It's designed to do just one thing, but do it incredibly well. That's the complex matrix math that is the absolute backbone of all modern AI and machine learning.
And this is where the scale of what they've done really becomes clear. That number, 10, that's the number of GPU cores in the M5. But Apple didn't just build 10 cores, they put a neural accelerator inside each and every single one. So that means AI processing is now distributed. It's happening right there alongside the graphics work.
Now, this kind of distributed power is only possible because of Apple's unified memory. Let me give you an analogy to make it clear. A traditional PC is kind of like having two separate factories, one for the CPU, one for the GPU. And they have to constantly ship data back and forth between each other. But unified memory, that's like a single, massive shared workbench where both the CPU and GPU can grab the same data instantly. There's no copying, no waiting, and no bottlenecks. It's just faster. Of course, Apple didn't forget about the traditional graphics side of things. We've got third-gen ray tracing for that hyper-realistic lighting, mesh shading to help render these enormous, complex game worlds efficiently, and dynamic caching to make sure memory is always being used in the absolute smartest way possible. It's a total overhaul. Okay, so that's the architecture, that's the how. Now let's talk about performance and see how all this translates into actual real-world speed. Because honestly, some of the numbers here are pretty staggering. So, here's the big picture. Compared to the M4, its direct predecessor, the M5's peak AI compute is a whopping 4 times faster. Ray tracing is up 45%, and even general graphics get a really nice 30% boost. And if you compare it to the M1, well, the leap is just massive. Let's just focus on that AI number for a second, because that's the real headline here, a 4 times increase in AI compute performance. What does that mean for you? Well, it's what lets the M5 run things like advanced diffusion models for image generation, right there on your device, faster than you've ever seen before. And hey, for all you gamers and 3D artists, that 45% jump in ray tracing performance is huge. This is the tech that creates those incredibly lifelike shadows and reflections. So in a game like Cyberpunk 2077, this means smoother frame rates at higher resolutions, making the whole experience way more immersive. And what's making all this possible? A big part of it is a 30% increase in memory bandwidth. Think of bandwidth as a highway for your data. More bandwidth means a wider highway. And that's absolutely essential for feeding those 10 hungry GPU cores and making sure that huge AI models or 4K video timelines don't make your whole system stutter. And it's really important to point out that these aren't just, theoretical numbers cooked up in a lab. Apple's benchmarks come from tests using the exact professional apps that creative people rely on every single day. Apps like Photoshop, Final Cut Pro, and Apple's own AI tools. This is performance you're actually going to feel. So,
let's zoom out. I mean, a faster chip is always great, we all love that, but why does this specific architectural shift really matter? What's the long-term impact of baking AI so deeply into the GPU itself?
And really all comes down to one word: synergy. The M5 isn't just a collection of separate parts, it's a single, cohesive system. You've got the CPU handling all the everyday tasks, the GPU taking care of the intense visual and AI workloads, and then you have that unified memory acting as the high-speed glue connecting it all. They all work together perfectly.
And that synergy leads to some incredible real-world benefits. Because more AI tasks happen on your device instead of the cloud, your privacy is enhanced. It lets the Vision Pro render those unbelievably crisp and fluid visuals. It makes it way easier for developers to build powerful AI into their apps. And it does all of this with amazing power efficiency. You're getting desktop-level performance without a massive energy bill. Which brings us to our final big thought here. The M5 GPU shows a really clear path forward. A future where the lines between the CPU, the GPU, and the AI accelerator just blur. They become a single, intelligent, and super efficient system on a chip. So is this all-in-one approach where graphics and intelligence are totally fused together? Is that the blueprint for the future of all personal computing? It's a really compelling question to think about.